I'm going to start by prepping the back sides of my postcards. These are just 4x6 pieces of food packaging that I cut out with my paper cutter. And this back side is the wrong color for the post office. I really want something like this. These just happen to be the interiors of the boxes were white, so I don't have to do anything to these. They're fine. But these I'm going to have to do something to. So I'm going to drag out an old phone book and do my painting on this. And that way I have a painting surface that I can just tear off and throw away, and not get the other side of my postcard covered with paint. Not that it matters, because I think I'm going to cover the printed side with magazine images, but just in case I wanted to do this on a card that had something worthwhile on the other side, this is a good way to do it. It doesn't have to be completely white, but white enough so that when I write on it with black ink, the post office machines will pick up the contrast. And then I can just fold it over. And I have like, I don't know, 3 or 4 different phone books laying around the house that I hadn't looked at in, well, as long as I had them, because I look everything up on the internet now. So hopefully we're entering a stage where people stop throwing phone books on your front porch. Seems like there are 3 or 4 different companies in my area that have done that. I keep telling them not to give me any more because I don't use the ones I have, but they don't believe me. So while I'm waiting for my white background to dry, I can use these 2 that are already white to show you the next step, which is, these are pages from magazines. They're from fashion magazines, obviously. And I have some black and whites and also some in color, but I have a feeling that this is going to work best with black and white images. So I'm going to set some of these colored ones aside. And what I want to do is just glue an image to a backing. I was kind of hoping to get the teddy bear into this one, but I don't think I can. I think I'm going to have to do it that way. And I tend to hold the postcard behind and hold the sheet up to the light so that I can see the outline, just to sort of eyeball where it's going to go. And then I can apply glue on the back side and apply it to my postcard. So now I'm going to take my postcard and apply glue stick pretty liberally to the whole surface of the printed side. I'm kind of holding it in place because I don't want the glue to get on the back side, which is already white and is my writable surface. So I'm just going to lift this up and get rid of the glue. And now I take my image and I'm going to hold this up to the light out of the camera range just for a second to make sure that I'm getting both faces on the card, which they are. Ooh, sorry for the squeaky. It's my acrylic roller. It's very loud. Gonna let that sit for a minute and then trim away the excess. Same thing with this one. Lots of glue, hold the postcard in place so you don't get glue on the other side. Then get rid of the glue. And again, I'm going to hold this up to the light. And so here are my postcards trimmed down, and a couple of them have corner issues, so I'm going to go in and glue those down. But here's what they look like, trimmed and ready to paint. And somehow I ended up with only one that's portrait and all the rest of them are landscape. That's okay. So the next thing I have to do is a little pencil sketching to see how I'm going to change the shapes of these heads. So I'm going to start with this one, and I want to leave her as she is and turn this into kind of a weird looking monster. So I think I'm going to do this whole head kind of bigger. And then I'm going to do big round eye. And another big round eye. And a mouth. So I'm going to take my Sharpie and trace around that. Big eyeball. And a big eyeball over here. And a mouth. I'm sort of tracing the outline of where I'm going to paint. And maybe an enormous ear right here. So once this dries, I'm going to layer a little bit of gesso over the top before I try to lay down color. I want to make sure that it's dry before I do that. Yeah, that seems okay. So, a little bit of gesso. And I'm going to go right over the black line that I drew. Sharpie will generally rise through layers of gesso and paint. So if I don't paint too heavily over the top of it, chances are pretty good that I'll be able to see it. After the gesso dries. the shape of this head and the size of the eyeballs. This figure is starting to look like Homer Simpson. That's scary. So here are my two gessoed postcards. And you can sort of see on this one how the Sharpie has sort of glowed through the gesso so that I can see the lines that I sketched in before. So I did a circle right here for her eyeball and another one over here. And kind of a round section here for her mouth. And a great big ear. I'm just doing these lightly in pencil so that I can see what I'm doing. So now I'm going to fill this in very quickly with some pink acrylic. So this this one is ready to get a little outlining and some detail painting on it. So I'm just going to outline the eyes a little bit and put some centers in them.